Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning. Good morning, big sis. What is it? Wednesday. Welcome to Wealthy Wednesday. Let's call it that. Wealthy Wednesday. So, welcome to Tony Talks. To all you who are on now and who will come and catch the replay. Okay, that's different. Um, so Tony Talks, where I am Tonye Denise Lattimore, and I come to encourage, inspire, and motivate you. Motivate you to what? Your power and your purpose. To move in that which you have been created to do. All right. So that is the purpose of Tony Talks. That's why we're here. So welcome, 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 all you royal ones. Royal ones, welcome to this Wealthy Wednesday. That's what we're calling it. That's what it's going to be. All right, so we get started with deep breathing. You all know if you've been rocking with me. Good morning, cousin. Summary, I know, but I'm looking outside, big sis, and it's dark. It's like dark. It really looks like it could be midnight outside. So I'm still trying to enjoy the last day because they're saying today is about the last day here in Chicago of summer, right? What do they call it? Indian summer. So let me put on my last summary piece because tomorrow they say it's supposed to be like 67. Today still in the 80s. So I'm going to enjoy this last bit. See, y'all in Georgia, y'all still got time for good weather. You know, up north, we got to get it while we can. All right. So we are doing our deep breathing. We do 4 counts in, 4 counts out, and we do it how many times, y'all? 3. So let's get started with our deep breathing. Second one. And our final deep breath in and out. So you really should feel good morning, Amy. That those lungs, you should feel your lungs really have expanded, contracted, and it just feels a little bit better. All right. We're doing a quick check-in. Just scan your body, you all. Where are you? What are you feeling like? 1 through 10. What you're feeling like on today? 1 is not the greatest, right? I need some improvement. I'm just not mentally, physically, whatever it may be. I'm not feeling the best. 10 is I am great. What's that song? Sitting on top of the world, right? So, where are you on today? How are you feeling? Check with yourself. It's always good to do a self check in, okay? Just so you know where you are and you know, okay, come on with that 8, and you know what areas need to work on. When we do our check-ins, we're scanning all over. Am I having any pains, right? All right, come on, y'all, with these 8s. Like what really truly is going on. Let me turn this off. Inside of my body, mind, spirit. That's what we're checking in on. All right, we're gonna get right on in to today's topic. Now, I'm going to say I went back and I had to listen to the full thing of what this was, right? So this was just a short. This was a short from a longer segment. So if you listened to the full segment, you will see that it was not just talking about do Black women need a Black man. I added or a man, period. That's what I added to it. It was talking about the community, right? The community of Black people and how to build the community. But for the sake of what I put up, this is what we're going to discuss. Do Black women need, first of all, a Black man or a man, period? So, because I am, licensed, I am held to a certain standard, that first I have to bring you some stats. Then I can go into the discussion of, I'm going to tell you from my perspective of what I think about the question. But y'all feel free, start adding y'all comments in there. What do y'all think? Do y'all think that Black women need a Black man or a man, period? So I want to discuss some of the things that she talked about on the short that was mentioned. Okay, so we're going to do that. Take time to share it out for me, you all. Share it, please. And let's get into this. All right. So she talked about obesity, mental health, um, needing time. Well, if we have relationship with a Black man, that we would have more time to do what we need. She talked about more educated, the higher paying women tend to be alcoholics. Um, she said Black women have to carry what Black women have to carry is too much to carry by ourselves, and having someone helps us to have more time for self or for caring for ourselves. So put your thoughts down there. What are you thinking about the whole topic? Do Black women need a Black man or a man, period? And I'm going to talk about a little of the stats that I got. And so these are all the sources are listed. If you go back, you'll see the sources listed on the page link. Okay. So the first one is talking about Black women are twice as likely to experience major depression as men. Okay. And then compared to white women, African American women are half as likely to seek professional help. What do y'all think about that? That's that alone. Black women are twice as likely to experience major depression than men. And that was just men in general, men, Black men, white men, all men, Hispanic men, Asian men, that we are twice as likely. That's a lot. So I'm not going to go into it yet, but why do you think Black women are twice as likely to experience major depression as men? The other thing, compared to white women, Black women are half as likely to seek professional help. Do y'all think that's a true statement or not? And this is from hopkinsmedicine.org 2023 study. So I do think that it is that Black women are less likely, way less likely. It's saying half as likely to seek professional help. And there are a number of reasons for that. What are some reasons y'all think that Black women are half as likely to seek professional help? What do y'all think? What are y'all thoughts? Excuse me. Let me get some water. What y'all think about that? That Black women are half as likely to seek professional help. Why would that be? And I found, as I was searching for information on this topic of Black women, and we need more studies on Black women specifically, because there were not a lot of studies about Black women. And, for her to say that Black women with higher education and higher paying jobs were more likely to be alcoholics, I would say, what stat did you have to back that up? Now, I could see how that could be true, because one thing is, how many times do you hear Black women, like a lot of times their end of the day is, I'm going to get a bottle of wine. Does that make them an alcoholic? Not necessarily, right? So where are her stats on that they become alcoholics? Okay, let's see. Twice as likely, because we are always trying to save, come on, rescue and deal with others' issues instead of our own. Bam, that's one big one, right? Twice as likely because one, now it's talking about, do Black women need? First of all, I don't think we need a Black man or a man, period, but desire. You know, oftentimes we desire to have a Black man or a man because if you need, something, I just think that that's like you can't do without. And I do think that we can do without, but is it more beneficial? And that's how I think that they should have worded it a little more. Is it beneficial to the Black woman to have a man or to have a Black man? Okay, let's go into some more of these stats. Thank you for that comment, big sis. So according to the National Health and Nutrition Examination Survey of 2015-2016, it said 54.8% of Black women are obese. So now we're talking about that thing where she said that Black women are overweight. Well, she didn't say overweight, she said are obese. And it said 54.8% of Black women are obese. This is not saying in relationship. Well, she said single, because she said that we're not handling being single. A lot of us want to be single and independent. And she said we're not handling it well. That's what she said, right? And so obesity is a part of what she said is coming from that. And according to what the stats said, if 54.8, that's more than half of Black women are obese. Maybe it's something to that. I can't link that being single is attached to the obesity, but just that in and of itself, right? Because it said 38% of white women are obese. So that's significant. That's a significant difference between Black women and white women. And I know you may talk about, well, how they do their, how they, as far as looking at weight and stuff like that, how it's based on more of a European style, measurement, right? But this is going across the board from Asian, Hispanic, Blacks, and whites. So if we even use that according to what the standard is, 54 or 55%, we might as well round it up, of Black women are obese. So that in of itself leads to so many different things, right? Whether you're single or married, because it didn't say that in the study that I looked at, we got to take care of ourselves, right? As Big Sis said, it's instead of taking care of others, one thing we may be doing is eating on the run. We may not be eating good quality meals. Why are we obese? And the obesity is then leading to heart disease, diabetes, is leading to other diseases, right? Which is causing us to be unhealthy. Okay. So that's the obesity thing. We need to start taking better care of us. Now we're going into physical activity. Physical activity of Black women. I think health is handled differently with others. Many married and single Black women are overweight. Right. That's what I'm saying. It's just saying obesity as in general. It's saying it didn't say being single or married because I couldn't find a study. That's why I said it needs to be more studies on Black women specifically regarding being single or being married. So not too many people are studying that, and I wonder why. Maybe they're just saying we're not that important to study. But those who are doing these studies and this research, it needs to be more research on Black women as single and Black women being married. That's just what I see as I was researching for this topic. Okay, so you're right. They're overweight, period, just in general. So we have to do better about our health. That's one thing that I got from this, doing this study, is that we got to take better care of ourselves, regardless if we're single or if we are married. Okay. Black women, more so than any other race, are more likely to be less physically active compared to white women. It said 38% of Black women reported little to no participation in physical activity versus 23% of white women. So we're almost at 40% of having little to no physical activity. Why is that, do you think? Why don't we as Black women, and again, this is single and married. This is just a Black woman, period, right? Why don't we prioritize as Black women? Why don't we prioritize our health? Why don't we think it's important for us to get that physical activity? Because then that goes back into the obesity, right? If we're sedentary, don't have any movement, little to no movement, and a big thing is a lot of us sit behind a computer, so we're not actively engaging, right? If you're not moving your body during a day, if you're just sitting there, you're going to be overweight because there is no movement, right? It used to be when we were in offices, we would have to walk to the bathroom, movement was being had, right? But now, with a lot of people still working from home, that even cuts down our physical activity even more. And as we get older, we should have some type of strength training, right, for our muscles. So, why, from your perspective as a Black if you're a Black woman, what is your thoughts on that? We're just really discussing some of these things that she talked about, obesity, and then I said, let me look up physical exercise to see how much Black women actually exercise or don't exercise. What's your thoughts on that? Why do you exercise or why don't you exercise? Any comments on that? Because exercise is so key. You know, it's so key to help us to stay. It helps with depression and anxiety, mental health aspect. Because she also talked about the mental health aspect of Black women being single. And we're going to get into that in a second. But as far as physical exercise, what's your thoughts on that? Why don't you or why do you make it a priority? For me, I make it a priority because I just know the importance. I learned the importance of exercise, and I feel much better once I do exercise. So let's see. Exercise helps with mental health. Health. So if we talk garden, ride, bike, etc., I find I feel so much better. Correct, right? So what this study that I looked up, and that's from ncbi.nlm.nih.gov, right? So you could go look that survey up. They actually weren't talking about like strength training, like going to the gym. They were actually like talking about just regular exercise. So if that's just walking, if that's just movement, some type of movement. And it said that 38% of Black women have little to no movement. All right. So gardening would be good. Riding a bike, walking would be good. That is movement, right? And so they're saying that 38% of Black women don't even do that. So, you know, it does help you to feel better. You're able to think, you're able to process. And then you're talking about in the garden, that nature piece. All of these add to, you know, they're going to add to building us and healing us. So, why don't we do that if we don't do it? Why not add that into your, you know, even parking your car a far distance instead of looking for the up close parking space to the grocery store, or if you're going shopping or whatever you're doing. Little things like that, taking the stairs instead of the elevator. All of those things help. Let's see what Amy said. Exercise is a part of my daily healthy lifestyle. Okay, great, great. So, for those who don't do exercise, I'm urging you to add that in because it's adding to the obesity stats of us as Black women. 54.8% of Black women being obese, right? So little small things. I know we're kind of not on topic yet. I'm gonna go into the discussion after this. I got to get the stats out first. But we're talking about our health now, the health of Black women, because a lot of times we don't talk about the health of the Black woman. Like, we just really don't talk about it. You can see a Black woman, she's all dialed up, the outside looks like she got it all together, but the insides a lot of times are jacked, right? And I know, because I the majority of my clients, and I don't want to say jacked, let me correct that, they have some issues going on, but you would never know it looking on the outside. They're all dialed up, put perfectly together, and you never know that. And the thing about it is, we've been taught as Black women, right? Like, to put ourselves together and to go into this world. Well, I don't know about now in this world of bonnets and walking out in pajamas, but I know in my generation, we have been taught to keep it together on the outside, right? And that just doesn't let people know that you need help. When you really need help on the inside, a lot of people wouldn't know that because they're looking and judging you from the outside. All right, and let's go to this last one, the psychological effects of being single for a long time. Now, this was an actual study done by, who was this by? This one was done by, where is it? charliehealth.com, and this was actually August 16th of 23. So this is talking about the 7 psychological effects of being single for a long time. Buckle your seatbelts. Okay, first of all, I had to ask the question, what's a long time? So they brought these different points, but they didn't tell us what a long time is. So, what is a long time to me could be a short time to you, right? So we're going to go with what they said, long time. And it said, 1, fear of rejection or vulnerability. All right. So it said many will question whether they can even establish a meaningful emotional bond after being single for such a long time. They may worry about being rejected or being able to be vulnerable because they haven't had this interaction in a long time. So this is one of the psychological effects of being single for a long time: fear of rejection or being able to be vulnerable. What do you all think about that? If you're single, is that something that you think about? Fear of rejection, right? Once I get out here, am I going to be rejected? Or what is it going to be like for me to show up and then be able to be vulnerable? Is that something that you think about if you're single? You can answer there, and I'm going to keep going on so we can get to this other part. Number 2, loneliness. So it said loneliness and isolation is often lacking. Wait, hold on. What I say? Loneliness and isolation is a psychological effect of being single for a long time. Lacking consistent emotional connection makes it harder to open up to new people. Said fear of not finding deep connection adds to apprehension of entering a new relationship. So a lot of fear around finding a deep connection, right? Being able to find, some people say, my person, right? Okay, Edub said that fear of rejection. Okay, so that's not an issue for you. How about loneliness and isolation, right? A psychological effect of being single. When I was single, there was lots of periods of loneliness for me and isolation. I would isolate myself, but I had depression as well. So that was tied to that, which we'll talk about in a second as well. So, is loneliness and isolation a piece of the a part of the psychological piece that you experience if you are single? Let's go on to number 3. It's a lower self-esteem. A decline in self esteem occurs after being single for a long time from societal pressures. So, society is putting this thing on people that by such and such age, you should be in a relationship, you should be having children, right? If you haven't had children by a certain age, there's a lot of pressure on the woman. And that's typically like in your mid 30s, right? Why you don't have children? You got even like moms asking their daughters, when you gonna have grandbabies for me and stuff. So it's a lot of pressure that oftentimes it says leads to lower self-esteem. People who have been single may question their self-worth. Okay, because they start to compare themselves to others and to societal norms. What y'all think about that? I have been single for a long time on purpose, I think you're saying. I don't fear rejection, but I fear lack of consistency, bum mentality, cheating, and a whole lot of other stuff. Okay. Yeah. So, um, don't fear rejection, but fear a lack of consistency. Lack of consistency. Oh, from the men out here? Is that what you're saying, sister? Okay. So lower self-esteem. What y'all think about that? They said that's a psychological effect of being single for a long time because a lot of times you're looking at the societal norms and that's pressure on you and you start to feel like you are not as worthy as, you know, could be because you're looking at what society is saying. Let's see. I guess I'm different. Being single is not a curse. Absolutely not. Nope. I think loneliness comes and goes in life. Okay. Get it? Yeah. Okay. I don't believe it affects self-esteem. Okay. And yes, from men for consistency or lack of consistency from men. Okay. Heightened social anxiety. That's what they're saying another psychological effect is feeling less confident about dating, feeling awkward when dating, questioning self when dating, feeling anxious when dating, and feeling excluded or like you're the third wheel a lot of times around couples because there are singles. And this is one reason why back in the day when we who did they poll? I don't know. Because, when I read this thing, they just gave these pointers. They didn't give any background on this as they should have, right? When you do a poll or a survey or something like this. So that's why the whole thing, when it said long time, it was just some questions from this. But some of it to me, yeah, could be questionable, but some of it does seem kind of I can relate to some of it. So like the reason why back in the day, well not back in the day, like 2018, me and my husband did start TNT Connections, and that was for singles and married, was because we felt the need for singles and married to be able to intertwine, to be able to have interactions with each other. It like a lot of churches will have a married conference or a singles conference, but we are in this world together. So we need to learn how to engage together. Singles have something to teach married people, and married people have something to teach singles. So why not intertwine these things? And so I think that today that's a thing that needs to be done. We need to have so we can both learn from each other. There, like I said, there are things we can both learn from each other. So it's saying here that a lot of times singles get around couples and they feel like they're the third wheel. No, it shouldn't be like that. It should be that we're just having conversation. We should be able to have dialogue back and forth. It shouldn't be awkward, right? But they're saying that that is a psychological effect. Okay. All right, number 5, they said change in priorities. So, prioritizing a psychological effect of being single is prioritizing careers. People start prioritizing hobbies. People start prioritizing friendship and themselves. Now, that to me sounds like that could be a positive thing, because sometimes in relationship you cannot prioritize these things. It's sometimes the priority is that you have to take care, you're thinking of taking care of the relationship. And so sometimes these careers get put on the back burner. Hobbies may get put on the back burner. Friendship and self may get put on the back burner. So this to me can be positive, or it can have some negative effects. I think to this whole thing, it's about balance. Now that is true. It's about having balance, right? So whether you're in a relationship or not, you have to have balance of self, right? You got to take care of yourself. If you don't take care of yourself, then how can you take care of the relationship? You have to prioritize these things. Friendship, all of these things you got to know where they come, or how to prioritize them in your life, right? And then 6, personal growth. It says may foster more personal growth, self-reliance, and independence. And so we do see a lot more of independent Black women. What other race do you really see talking about, like, I'm independent? What other race of women talk like that? That is to me a Black woman thing. Like, I need my independence. I'm an independent woman, right? So what they're saying is the psychological what is that? The psychological effect could be on being single is then having this independent mindset, right? And then that doesn't open you up to want to even have a relationship. So some people focus on their careers, and then they no longer want to even, or don't even desire to have a relationship. And that's neither right or wrong. That's just a personal choice. That's up to what you feel works for you. And then finally, 7, a desensitization to romantic relationships. And so desensitized means to be less sensitive to be numb, or to be deadened to the thought of even having a romantic relationship. So having a reduced desire to pursue romantic connection. So let's talk about the mental impacts that it could have being single. Mental impacts could be loneliness, isolation, social exclusion, which can lead to depression and anxiety. Now, conversely, what could happen is it could improve your self discovery, because being single, you have more time to discover self. You have more time for personal growth, and you have more time for the freedom to pursue your goals and your interests. All right. So that's what I found on the topic. Now, let's get into this. Do Black women need a Black man or a man, period? So now I'm going from my perspective. This is Tonye Denise Lattimore's perspective, not these studies and all that stuff. And y'all feel free to chime in whenever y'all want to. I say, I don't need a man, but because I am married, I need my husband. Okay. Um, I could get along in this world fine without having a man, right? Without, I don't necessarily have to have a man, but because I now have a man and a husband, I need him. Does that make sense to y'all? Right? Because this is what I have chosen. So it's a choice, right? Do you need? I don't think you need. I think it's a priority for me. It was a choice that I chose to have a man. And then I would say, from my perspective of looking back to when I was single, I experienced a lot of things that they talked about. But was that tied to issues that I already was predisposed to? Meaning, I had some depression. Now, did I have the depression because I was single, or did I have the depression because of my life, right? So there's a whole lot of ways that this topic could go, right? So for me, you know, I always wanted a black man because she talked about building community with your own race. Not that she disagreed with marrying outside of your race, but she said that for her, you know, she wants to see the black community being built. And I get that, right? She wants to see wealth being built in our communities. And how else do we do that except if we build with our own? So I had to listen to the whole thing, not just the little short that was given, because she really did make some sense. Listening to that short made it seem, um, some of the stuff didn't fully add up. But when I listen to what she said, I get it, right? If we want to take back and build our communities, then we need to build with our own. Most other races build with their own, and that's how they're able to keep the wealth in their communities, right? So to me, that was the overall point that I got from what she said. And so, with that being said, I do agree with building with a black man if you're going to be in relationship, right? As a black woman, build with a black man so we can continue to build our legacy, because that's how legacy is built. Let's see. I think if you're single and don't have friends, family, and other support, okay, you said something right there. um, that was part of my issue as well, because I was single, didn't have friends, and didn't have family support. So all of those things make sense now that you put that out there, right? That led to, one, depression, loneliness, isolation, all of those things, right? These things may be true. Mhm. I know more married women who are lonely and struggling with their low self esteem. Baby, you better talk about it. Yes, yes, and yes. Because just because you're married does not mean that you do not have or struggle with low self esteem, right? You could have low self esteem in that relationship. The other thing is the type of man that you marry. I'm very blessed. I told my husband yesterday, I'm very blessed to have a man who helps out in the house, um, not just on the outside of the house. He doesn't just take care of like cutting the grass and doing the stuff on the outside. He helps out on the inside. He will mop, he will do dishes. Every now and then we get him to cook. He'll barbecue more so than anything, but he will help out. And that is a big help, especially when you both are working, right? And so I am blessed. Now, I think a part of this question is, do black women need a black man? Let's say, do we need, and I don't want to consider it good, right? I want to say a man who is also participating or who also is providing to the health of the woman, right? Because I have my husband, I can go to the gym. I have more time freed up because there's help in our household, right? I don't have to do everything myself. There are things that I do more so of, but I have more time because he helps out. So I think part of it is the type of man that you get as well. If you have a man, because some women have a man who is like a child, and it's just like having another child that you have to take care of. Then that's going to be even more stress on you as a black woman, right? And so it to me, the big difference is who you allow into your life, right? Let me see. You said, I need men in my life. Come on. Yes, black women need black men. I agree. I agree with that. She also talked about in that segment, she talked about how a black man can only teach a black child how to grow up like a black. She said a black man could only teach her black son how to maneuver in this world. A white man, Hispanic man, Asian man don't have the different things that black men, our black boys go through. So how would they be able to teach your child how to go through these things that only black men have experienced? So that was part of it too, that she said, as to why a black woman needs a black man, especially if you're going to have children. You want your children to be raised by somebody who knows how to maneuver in this world, right? Who has experienced these different things, and teach your children ways of being able to live in this crazy world, right? So let's see. Yes, yes, yes. We definitely need our black men. We need to uplift them. But, also they have to do their work. They have to know that one thing I see, that as black women, a lot of us have had to do so many different things on our own. We've had to raise children because there's a lot of single moms, right? Black moms who have had to go to work, take care of the children without much input. That's what happened to me. Once I got divorced, I didn't have much input or much help with taking care of the children. I was in school full time, I was running the business full time, and I had the two children, right? So I think black men have to know that women have had to be independent. Um, for a big chunk of their lives. I was single for 6 years. So it's kind of hard not to have that independent attitude, because that's what we had to be. We had to take care of what typically a man would do in the household. We had to do it all. So black man has to be patient with a black woman. That's what I see. Like when you get with a black woman, when me and my husband first got married, he had to be patient with me because I was used to doing it all. And so it took a while for me to learn how to even relinquish some of this stuff. And grateful that I had my husband who was willing to help me to relinquish it, right? It's a lot of learning how not to have to control everything. And that's a good feeling, to not to have to control everything, but it also is work. Because when you are used to controlling the whole household, doing everything on your own, is it a relief? Yes, but it is something that you have to learn how to trust, that I can relinquish this thing. Okay. So, um, do black women need a black man, or do you need a man, period? What would you say? Do you need a man, period? So, Erica said, yes. Black men, black women need each other, right? Black women need black men. What all do you say? What else do you all say? Do you need a man, period? Because there are some women now who they're making the big bucks, they're making the big coinage, and some of them feel like they don't need a man. What do you think? What are your thoughts on that? Do you need a man? If you are making the money, you are, some of them are making big, big, big money, and they just feel like they don't need a man. What are your thoughts about that? I still think that having companionship is a good thing, right? No matter how much you make, the right companionship. Let me say that, right? Having good companionship, having somebody there to be able to bounce ideas off of, and that could be friendship, that could be that could be male companionship, because sometimes we don't want to just talk to our female friends, right? We may want a perspective of a man. So good companionship, somebody who you can trust, that I can go and I can talk about some of my stuff that I may be experiencing. I think that that's good for both male and female. All right. Okay. So let's see. So Erica said, I'm not ashamed to say that I need a man, but that's not just exclusive to a relationship. Right. And so that's what I was saying as far as like friendship, right? Having good quality friendship in your life or companionship. Companionship doesn't have to mean it's sexual, right? It could be that this is just the person who, we really can bounce things off. We have a good time when we're together. We may go out to dinner. We're just not in a relationship, right? We're not in a romantic relationship. We just have companionship. So, yeah, I think that is necessary to have some good opposite sex companionship. You don't have to be physically involved with them. Okay. All right. Well, this was a great topic. It really had me do some research and um I'm not a researcher, but if I was, I would definitely do more research on the Black woman because I think I really want to see what the studies are saying as far as Black women now um, being independent, having to be independent, because some of this we don't have a lot of choice. If the man chooses not to be there, right, then you have to do it. Who else is going to do it, right? So I want to see some studies more on the impacts of being single on the Black woman or being married on the Black woman. Backtracking, while you were doing these things as a single mom, exercise was not on your list of priorities. Mm-mm. I believe we don't exercise because we're tired. That's true. I believe Black women are tired. Yes, I know. Come on with these points. You coming on with them. I know it needs to be a priority to take care of ourselves. Right. That because I didn't exercise one. Yep, you said it. I was tired. I had to handle everything. So where was I going to fit exercise in? I had the two kids, I had a whole business that I had to run, and I was in school. We were encouraged while I was in grad school to exercise, to go to therapy. I did the therapy thing, but the exercise was not a priority for me because I didn't I didn't even know where to fit it in my life, right? Like between all of that, that was a lot of hours. A whole lot of hours dedicated to doing homework, going to school, running a business, taking care of the kids. So I definitely didn't think about exercise. And even when my instructors would say that, or my professors would say like exercise, I didn't, that was something that I did not put in my routine because I was wore out. You are absolutely right. Right. So that is one of the big factors, I think, too, as to why Black women don't exercise and why they're obese because they may be tired of having to run the whole household. That's a good point. Definitely a good point. Being single, a single mom, even just being single, right? Not having children. If you got to run your whole household, that's a lot, to do by yourself. So a lot of times it's not a priority. So that's why I just say if you are tired, right? And if you have a lot on your plate, I say do things that you can do without maybe being able to get to the gym, right? Maybe the gym may not be able to be something you can do. But like I said, if you can park a little farther away to get as many steps as you can, if you can take the stairs instead of the elevator, it's trying to get it in as much as you can. If you sit in front of a computer in your house, making those, put it on your Apple Watch, right? Making those times where, okay, I need to get up 4 times. On my watch, my Apple Watch, there are times where, okay, you need to move, right? And so taking advantage of that as much as possible, movement as much as possible. May not be able to get to the gym, but as much as possible moving. So that was a very good point. Absolutely. I didn't even think about that. Being tired does prevent a lot of us as Black women from exercising. And so I am, as I said, grateful that because I do have help in the household, so that is linked. I think that's something that helps me because I have time and he frees me up from a lot of things, and it's two of us. I don't have to financially worry as much about how am I going to do this or how is this going to get done because we have two incomes. So that does help free my mind from a lot of things. And I am able to then free myself up to do a lot of self care for myself. Yeah. So that's one reason why I need a Black man, and need my Black man, my Black husband, because he helps me out a whole lot. Right. So that's the key, right? Finding or being found by the right man, somebody who is going to impart in you as much as you impart in them. That is the goal, I would say. I believe Black women are getting better with health and exercise. I am seeing many more um, taking care of their health, taking care of their mental. The study here said that half Black women go half as much to therapy as like white women. I think that if we had some more updated studies, we would see that we do have more women taking care of their Black women taking care of their mental health, especially since the pandemic. So I haven't seen any studies since then. So I do believe that we are taking care of ourselves. I think we could do a better job more internally, right? Really looking at ourselves and what's going on with ourselves mentally, um, outside of even going to therapy, right? That's why I do the check ins, checking in with yourself. How am I feeling? And if I'm not feeling well, we could do our own journaling. We could really process a lot on our own. But I think that that needs to be taught and more so discussed more because, I mean, just from what I see, a lot of times Black women, what are our sources of self-care? Oh, I'm going to get my nails done. I'm going to get a pedicure. I'm getting my hair done. I'm getting my eyelashes done, right? It's more external stuff. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing. We need that. That's maintenance to ourselves. But we also need to really be real with ourselves and start looking internally at ourselves and those areas that we could be working on for ourselves. Okay. So you're right. I do think we are doing more exercise and um I guess getting healthier, but that is a thought. We got to really start being mindful. That's really being mindful of ourselves. And then, as my sister said a lot of times earlier in the comments, that as Black women, we want to take care of everybody else, right? We make sure everybody else is good, and we put ourselves on the back burner a lot of times, right? And that's because a lot of times we are nurturers as Black women. We make sure everybody else, we need to make sure, oh, they're good, they're good, they're good. And then we put ourselves last, and so we have to make sure that we are filling our cups. Because if we don't fill our cups, then how can we really serve anybody else? I think it was Iyama say, what's in your cup is for you, the overage is for others, right? I think if you have your cup full, then even what's in the cup can be for others. I don't think it has to be the overage that is for others. I think what's in your cup, as long as it stays full, and how do you fill your cup, right? That's another thing. You gotta figure out what are those things that help me to stay full, because as long as you're full, then I can pour, right? I have something to pour from. My container is full, then I have something I can pour into your cup and go and refill myself. Okay. So that's what I feel. I feel as Black women, we have to learn how to take care of ourselves. Make sure that we are not putting everybody else in front of us. Take care of ourselves first. Okay. All right. So thank y'all for coming on. We're gonna pray on out. We're gonna pray. Um, Let me put it up there. We're gonna touch and agree on we're just gonna do better, better for ourselves. Take better care of ourselves, because some of these things we do have the power to change, right? We have the power to change. Thank you. Um, we do have the power to change a lot of these things. And then I do think that we need to do more dating. So let me put this plug out there. If you are single and dating, I just need three. I preferably would like two women and a man, right? For the In These Streets dating segment. That is the fourth Friday of the month. It just meets one time in the month. What we're going to do is we're going to be talking about what's happening in these streets, right? In these dating streets. So if you are single and dating, right? That is what that segment is for. We just gonna get on here and discuss, because some of this stuff needs to start. We need to start discussing these things, right? What's happening? How can we um because right now it seems like it's a disconnect between people who are dating, right? It's lack of vulnerability. It's a lack of a whole bunch of things, and that's what we're going to talk about in these streets. So if you want to be on that segment, it is once a month on the fourth Friday of the month, and it's at 6:30 in the morning. We're going to go for about an hour, and we're just going to talk about in these streets what's happening. My hopes is it's not therapy, right? But my hopes is that there will be some discussion around what's happening in these streets, and how we can how we can get better in society, especially with now dating is through like inboxes, and I'm hearing this through like Instagram, like Messenger, and it's all kind of dating is just different now, right? So how can we improve it? And so that's what it's about. In these streets, let's talk about it. Two women and a man. That's all I need. Two women and a man, so we can get this segment moving this October. So if you're interested in that, if you date and you may be having some struggles dating, you don't mind sharing, being vulnerable, because you got to be vulnerable, right? We really going to talk about it. We're going to talk about what you're experiencing, and just see if there's ways that we can help this be better, right? As a single person, because there are many singles who are desiring to be in relationship, but not just be in relationship for the sake of being in relationship, or being in relationship with somebody who's not bringing their A game, right? So let's discuss in these streets what really is going on. All right, so contact me. Send me, if you know of anybody, tell them to contact me. I just need three just for us to discuss this topic once a month, fourth Friday of every month. Okay. All righty. Thank y'all for participating. And we're going to close in prayer. So, Father God, we thank you first of all, for waking us up this morning, Lord. We praise you, God, because you didn't have to do it, but you decided to wake us up, God. And because you woke us up, you have purpose for us, for each and every one of us, God. We're calling it Wealthy Wednesday, God. So we thank you for the wealth that you have. You say you give us the power to get wealth, Lord. Thank you for all that you have placed in front of us, God. We just thank you for right connections, God. I just pray, God, that we will continue to do what you have called us to do. If we don't know what you have called us to do, that we will get in your presence, God, that we will spend time with you, and that you will start downloading and revealing what it is that you have for us to do. Thank you for everything that you have done for us, God, for providing for us, God, for providing for us, for just being there for us, for being our friend, even, God, when we don't have anyone else to turn to. You are there and always there to listen to us, guide us, and direct us, Lord. So thank you, Lord, for this opportunity to even have this discussion, Lord, about Black men and Black women, God. And I pray for healthy relationships to be a part of just even our culture, God, for us to have healthy relationships, healthy marriages, healthy friendships, God. I pray that you will continue to lead, guide, and direct us everywhere we go, Lord. And so I just praise you on this day because you are worthy. You are worthy. You are worthy. And it's in Jesus' name that I pray. Amen, amen, and amen. All right. So y'all go and have an awesome good morning, husband. Have an awesome, awesome, wealthy Wednesday. I'm praying that wealth will follow you, that you won't have to chase it, but it will follow you and chase you on down, right? As you are walking in your purpose, that wealth will come and find you. All right. I love you all. Have a great day. And I'll see you back on Friday. Friday is TC, which is Shiante Bailey, the transformation coach, and me, the PPP, the power and purpose practitioner. And we're just going to be talking about some topics, you know, um, just some relevant topics. I'm not going to give y'all what we're talking about yet, but they're going to be some good topics, couple topics that we're going to put out here. All right. So I'll see y'all on Friday. Love y'all. Bye bye.